There's a group of people out there, and they're usually in the masses, that the second anyone tries to rise above mediocrity and averageness, they just seek to drag you down, simply for the fact of being full of darkness and full of evil, or simply because you trigger something in them. Maybe you started at the same place, you're the same age, and the fact that you're advocating for something, you're striving towards something, highlights the fact that they're not. They feel jealous, they feel envious. There's a plethora of reasons, but there's a group of people out there that the second you start trying to strive above what the society, the masses, everyone's basically living in fear. Everyone conforms. No one wants to rise above and be the one that sticks out and the one that rises to stardom in their specific area of life. Once you decide to be that person, they automatically just want to drag you down, and you could actually try to get to that, that, should I say, rise above the crowd in whatever way, whether it's being an expert in a craft, whether it's starting a business and becoming super rich. You could be an actress. Even the people that even seek to marry rich people, they are human beings. I know there's a stigma around it, but when you marry someone who's rich, it's kind of disrespectful to just call like a female a gold digger. But if it's a man, they ain't gonna get dragged. But if it's a woman, they'll say a gold digger because it's just easy. It's another way of dragging them down because she's trying to get a life that is separate from them. Um she can be educated and she could have something valuable to offer the person. But if you can choose someone who is, kind, funny and all that stuff, why not rich if it's not going to hurt anyone? They are human beings too and you can connect with them. But I digress. But the second you try to strive for something that is above the social norm, above not what the masses are doing, regardless of whatever avenue you choose to take, whether it's being an expert, starting a business, becoming super rich, marrying rich, making good business decisions, being at the right place at the right time, people will automatically attach a label to it. And you need to understand that these people they themselves are average and mediocre, because it's not some people who have actually strived, I think that's the word, strived and achieved great things. They know the struggle. They know that for you to get to a certain place of acknowledgement or spotlight, it took time, it took effort, it took strategy. They wouldn't be the ones dragging you down. And if they are, then that means mentally they are average and mediocre and below you. And if they keep acting like that, they will soon become below you. They'll be a has-been. But you wouldn't find people who have actually accomplished anything in their life be the ones to drag you down. It is usually the people who are at the bottom. They don't see themselves. They don't think they're capable of achieving much. They don't think they're capable of doing certain things. They don't think they're that smart. They don't even try to they don't even try to mitigate their flaws, to mitigate their weaknesses. They just think that, oh, I can't do it, and it makes them feel some type of way, so they drag down anyone else who does. And you need to understand that these people, like, I cannot stress enough how useless their opinion are, because I know this is something so cliche that people tend to say, but regardless of whatever stage you are in life, people always talk about you. Whether it's you're at the beginning and you're telling people about your dreams and they be like, oh, that's so unrealistic, oh, you're not gonna make it, blah 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 blah, or you actually start making and think, well, all businesses fail within 5 years, you don't know what she did to get to where she is, blah 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 blah. Or you actually get to the top and then everyone's trying to sue you to get money. Now everyone's taking offense to the littlest thing. They just want to drag you down. And if you look at all the celebs that have moral compasses, I would say, that we know of through the screen, because you can't just say they have moral compasses based off of what we know. But when you look at all the celebs that will like to say have moral compasses, they are constantly their characters are constantly being attacked. Because there's a group of people, there's a cohort of people, there's a spirit working amongst people who have chosen to live and stay in fear, that gets them all riled up when they see you succeeding, when they see you looking good, when they see you spending money, when they see you living a life that they're not living. And they want to live it. I really believe everybody wants to be rich. I think it's just a case of the figure is different. The figure is just different. Maybe some people are happy to be rich at 100,000. They'll consider that rich. Some people would consider being a millionaire being rich, or billionaire, or even a trillionaire. I mean, we don't know that there isn't that on the earth. But still, some people, because everybody wants to be rich, but the figure is different for everyone. So when they see you living a life that is so different from theirs, that is worlds apart, they get triggered. And rather than deal with that themselves, because that's their problem, that's how they are choosing to see you, they project it on you because it's a lot easier. They control you, hate you through the screen because they're really cowards. That's where they get their most That's the only place they feel powerful. But those are the people that once you come to them face to face, they'll start smiling with you because they don't know what to say. It's easy to hate someone through a screen. When you see them face to face, you're gonna have to be respectful because it's weird. It's weird, and you're gonna be seen crazy or psychotic. Yes, you can have your opinions about people, strong opinions, but it's gonna be weird or psychotic for you to just meet someone you've never met before. They've never done anything to you, and to just be rude for no reason. It's madness. So if you're feeling discouraged, and this is a note to myself as well, because there's so much that I want to do for myself, for my business, to move forward in life, and part of it is just thinking about people's opinions. And I know they shouldn't matter, we know that logically, but obviously something happens when we're in our childhood that we have to unlearn, and at that thing that happened makes you so aware of everyone else's opinions, because the perpetrator, the person who traumatized you, how dare you not acknowledge my insults towards you? How dare you try to outshine me and look better than me? So these things make you self-conscious, and these are things that you need to unlearn. But be patient with yourself, because you didn't get to this stage of being self-conscious or whatever. You didn't get there overnight. So we won't just undo overnight, even though you have the conscious, you consciously know that people's opinions don't mean anything. So what I would say, this is a note to myself as well, because people's opinions don't mean shit. Outside of your business, your opinion does not mean anything. So for someone to be dragging you down just for accomplishing something, you need to understand that they're a loser, because they are. There is no better way to say it. And I know it's easier said than done, but when you engage with them, you're validating their behavior. You're giving them like, oh yes, I can get that reaction. But if you ignore them, like, you can be angry, but let that anger out at a different time. If you ignore them and you don't give them that response that they're looking for, they're going to be embarrassed. I believe that the emotion that they try to project on you, it ends up ricocheting back on them, and they end up being so embarrassed. Like, if let's say now you're dressing and you're looking good or whatever, and they try to make a comment to make you self-conscious, to make you feel shameful or go back in the shell. If they say, oh, who do you think you are, something like that, and you just ignore it, the fact that that's the last thing that everyone in the room heard, it almost echoes and amplifies, because it was such a negative thing that no one would have noticed if you responded, because your response would have distracted it. People would have just dismissed it as conversation. But it's such a negative thing that people would they would notice it, because that's the last thing they heard. It amplifies. So I know it's easier said than done, but when you encounter such people, just ignore them. Just ignore them. Keep your things away from them. Apart, obviously, when you have a talent or an expertise, you have to offer it to the crowd. You have to offer it to the masses. So they're obviously gonna see it eventually, but try to keep it away from them. Stay away from those people. I'm serious. No one should really be putting you down, not even in the slightest. It's not a good thing. There's enough things in this world that we see that put us down, so we don't need someone in our corner who's claiming to be our friend, trying to give you a realistic approach and putting you down, discouraging you. They make it sound like that, oh, they're just being joking and they're giving you a realistic approach on things. But if you had an enemy and the enemy was trying to put you down, those are the exact words that they'll be saying. So why is a friend saying things like that? So either way, there's a mass of people in this world that are scared, that are fearful, that conform. They've chosen not to stand out. They've chosen to live in fear. Whatever that happened to them that got them there is not their fault. But it is our responsibility to get out of that and unlearn those habits and learn those habits that we actually want to learn. But they've chosen to live in fear. They've chosen to conform. They've chosen to just be average and mediocre. And some of them have loser mentality. So when they see you striving for something above the average, above the norm, above mediocrity, they're going to attack you regardless of what it is. Persecution is inevitable, and no matter what stage you are, as long as you're striving for something different, whether you're at the starting stage, you're gaining momentum, or you're at the very top, whatever that is, or you're at the peak, they're always going to drag you down. So please understand how useless people's opinions are, because it really don't mean shit. Okay.